So let's explore protein and lipid metabolism. So first we'll focus on the proteins. Proteins function as structural materials. So think about the protein fibers of the connective tissues and the muscle cells that give the body structure and form. Proteins also have other important roles in the body, such as the body's enzymes. Many of the body's enzymes are protein-based. And proteins also function as the building blocks of cell membrane channels and structures that assist in the movement of materials into or out of the cell. Proteins are typically not stored for use later as fuel, so any excess protein that is in the blood is converted into either glucose or lipids. When proteins are digested, they are broken down into their building blocks, which are called amino acids. Certain foods are higher in quantity in the amino acids that are used to build the body's major proteins. And in all, there are 20 important amino acids that humans use to build all of the proteins that are found in our body. Cellular and tissue repair are really highly dependent on the proper amounts of amino acids being absorbed into the bloodstream from the foods that we consume. Animal products such as eggs, milk, fish, or meats will generally contain the highest quantities of the essential amino acids, which are critical to building all of the body's proteins. So the body uses 20 amino acids in the creation of all of its proteins. And of those 20 amino acids, 8 of them are what are referred to as the essential amino acids. So if one of these essential amino acids is missing, the protein that requires that amino acid cannot be made at that time. So notice that the essential amino acids are only a small part of the total dietary protein that's required each day, which is represented by the circular diagram on the left. So don't worry about the names of the essential amino acids here, just understand that in total there are 8 essential amino acids. So as mentioned previously, animal products generally provide the highest quantities of both the total protein needed each day as well as typically providing all 8 essential amino acids. Plant-based diets, on the other hand, require eating a variety of items in order to obtain the essential amino acids. Corn and grains provide roughly 6 of the 8 essential amino acids, however, additionally, beans and legumes will provide a different set of 6 essential amino acids. And by eating a combination of these plant-based foods, that's how one can obtain all of the essential amino acids needed to fulfill their dietary requirements. So how does the body use proteins? So we covered this a little bit already. However, proteins we've seen are important structural materials in the body. Many of the body's proteins function as enzymes, so that is, they function in the building or breaking down of other molecular components in the body. Proteins can also be used as energy when our diet is low in either carbohydrates or fats. And this is part of a process that's referred to as gluconeogenesis, which occurs in the liver. And proteins or amino acids that are used in gluconeogenesis to create energy means that there are fewer proteins, fewer amino acids available for other things such as cellular repair, healing, and growth. All of the amino acids need to be present during protein synthesis, including those essential amino acids that we talked about earlier. Otherwise, that particular protein cannot be synthesized at that time. Daily dietary recommendations are typically about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, so which represents roughly about 12 to 20% of our daily total caloric intake. Different activity levels and types of exercise will also play a role in how much protein should be consumed each day in order to meet the needs of that particular person. So to review this just very briefly, sedentary, that is non-active adults, will generally require lower protein intake, which is roughly the number that we gave earlier of 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. Active adults should consume roughly 1 gram of protein per kilogram body weight per day. Meanwhile, strength training and ultra-endurance athletes, such as elite runners or elite marathoners, should consume anywhere from 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. And it's these higher levels of protein consumption that will go towards repairing damage to muscle tissue and damage to connective tissue that occurs with regular activity and regular exercise. In particular, exercise that is very demanding on the muscles and the skeletal system. So as mentioned previously, any proteins or amino acids that are not immediately consumed or used by the body are converted into carbohydrates and lipids in order to be used as energy sources. Now that we've covered proteins, let's explore some basics of lipid metabolism and how lipids are used in the body. Triglycerides are the most abundant dietary lipid that we consume with food, and then once they have been broken down by the digestive system, they are absorbed into the bloodstream as two components. One of them is a material called fatty acids, and the other is called glycerol. Lipids are used in a variety of ways by the body. So they, as we've seen in previous courses, they are important components of the cell plasma membrane. They can serve as a major fuel source for the hepatocytes, that is the liver cells that function to cleanse and process the blood that is coming from the digestive system, as well as the skeletal muscle cells can also utilize lipids as an energy source. Ketones that are produced when large amounts of lipids are metabolized by the body, such as someone with diabetes mellitus or someone who is on a low carbohydrate diet, can be used as a fuel by neurons in the brain, so in addition to being used as fuel by other parts of the body as well. Generally, lipids aid in the absorption and transport of fat-soluble vitamins in the bloodstream, because fat-soluble vitamins require a lipid carrier in the blood since they are not water-soluble. And of course, lipids are also used to build adipose tissue. In terms of daily intake, lipids and fats should compose anywhere between 20 to 35% of caloric intake. So that means that in a typical day, our diet should be mostly carbohydrates, followed fairly closely by lipids, although carbohydrate intake should be about almost twice what lipid intake is. So carbohydrates are generally the highest percentage of caloric intake per day, anywhere between 50 and 60%. Lipids are number 2 on that list, anywhere between 20 and 35%, and proteins being last at about 12 to 20% of our daily caloric intake needs.